What am I talking about today? Wow. Really, what am I talking about? I have no idea. I don't know. So today we are making one of my most favorite products to make ever. Ever, 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 ever. And it is a hot process soap, which is wild because you go look at my playlists and there are like 978 million cold process soaps and only like a handful of hot process. So that's weird that this one is my most favorite product to make ever. I'm going to tell you why it is in just a minute, but before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff.
One, two, three,
How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 74 of 365 days of soap, and today's a recipe day. And I'm giving you a recipe for one of my most favorite products to make ever, which is a hot process recipe, but don't let that freak you out. And honestly, you don't even need a crock pot for these sorts of things. You can do this in your oven as well. So if you don't have a crock pot, you should still make this. And the thing that I'm talking about, which I should have led with, is soap paste. Soap paste is amazing because it is so versatile. You can make, it's very easy to do, to make, to store, stores for a very long time. For several years you can hold soap paste, and you can turn it into a number of different things. You can turn it into shavers. Beautiful, beautiful shavers. You can turn it into whipped soap. You can make whipped sugar soap scrubs out of it. You can make liquid soap out of it. There's so much that you can do with soap paste, you guys. And it's not a difficult process. And again, stores well. So I'm giving you my recipe for my favorite soap paste. Today, we're going to talk more about soap paste in general and all of the different stages of Vaseline and mashed potato-y and all of the things, in the video. So let's go there. It's a recipe day, and this is awesome. So I'm going to show you the recipe that I wrote down for soap paste, because this is how we do things here. If you're new to the channel, hello, welcome. This is how we do things here, and I'm unlikely to ever change. So first things first, for a dual lye soap paste, which I really encourage doing for a soap paste, using both potassium hydroxide and sodium hydroxide, what you're going to want to do is take the entire amount of oils, right? And then cut that amount in half. And then calculate potassium hydroxide, so you know how much you need for potassium hydroxide. And then, go back in Soap Calc and change it to sodium hydroxide, still working with half of the oil, and get that amount. And then plug in the entire full amount of oils that you need, so you can get all the ounces for the types of oils as well as your water content. Now, I like to work with the potassium hydroxide first because it makes weird sounds when you're stirring it. It like crackles and pops like Rice Krispies, which actually sound great right now. I could do some Rice Krispie ASMR while talking about soap, because Rice Krispies sound amazing. I'm hungry. I'm real hungry. Anyway, after you have put the total amount of water into your carafe, and measured the potassium hydroxide in and stirred it up well. Then you add the sodium hydroxide, stirred up well, and then just set it aside while you measure out all of your oils and get them in the crock pot, ready to do its cook. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me whether you need a dedicated crock for hot process soap making. I mean, the answer to that is my answer to almost everything in the soap making world. What do you want to do? So, yeah, there are the actual measurements for the oils: castor, coconut, mango butter, and olive oil, 20 ounces total. And those are the percentages. I prefer to work in percentages for things because it makes it easier for you to resize your batch. But we will be putting the oils into the crock pot and they will melt down, and then we will add the dual lye solution to that. But back to the whole, do you need a dedicated crock? Again, the answer always comes down to, what do you want to do? Because there's no actual right answer. And if someone tells you, oh yeah, no, you must do this and have a dedicated crock for your soaping because lye etches, you can just stop talking to them at that point. Lye does not etch, and they are being stupid. Period. Love you if you believe that, but you're not right. That said, I do have dedicated crocks. I do have dedicated complete soap equipment for all things. And that was true even when I was, working out of my home. I never really worked in my kitchen, though. I never actually did the soaping in my kitchen. That was nothing I ever had to do, which was cool. But point is, I've always had dedicated soap tools that never ever get used for baking or cooking. But that doesn't mean you can't do that. And people who say you can't, no, we don't talk to them. They're not nice people. Life is not like this fundamentalist whatever, right? It is not black and white. We literally live within the very many shades of gray, right? And so there is not a right or a wrong with anything that you do. Period. Now, the oils have melted down really nicely, and the lye solution has cooled down to about 126 degrees. It doesn't super matter how hot your lye solution is when you add them to the oils here, because we are doing a hot process. And the definition of hot process is what? It requires heat. You're cooking it. Whereas cold process is none heat. Just melting the oils is the only heat that goes into that. So the actual process of making hot process is much the same as cold process. After you've added your lye solution to your oils, you are going to take your stick blender to it and mixy mix until it hits trace. Now with soap paste, I have found that it is quite a longer cook than a regular hot process recipe. Technically speaking, when you get hot process to trace, you can separate it at that point and do your swirls and put it in your mold, much like you would cold process. But here's my thing. What is the actual difference between cold process and hot process if that's what you're doing? Really, the point of hot process is to effectively really speed up that saponification so it goes a lot faster than what you would see with a cold process recipe. And so you are eliminating a few hours, because that's literally what it is. You're eliminating just a few hours when it comes to hot process versus cold process and how long it takes for saponification to occur. But everything else that you're dealing with, you're looking for trace, you're looking for an emulsion. And once you have found emulsion or a thin trace, you're going to want to close the lid on your crock. I just got splashed. It was hot. That was not fun. Look, I'm welting. Do you already see? I'm welting. That's not fun. I have very sensitive skin. Anyway, not the point. You don't care. You are going to want to close the lid on your crock and turn this heat down to low and cook it for about 10 minutes. And then you're going to want to check on it. But make sure to turn your crock down to low, because in that 10-minute period on high, it can get really weird and bubbly and going over the sides, and it's a big old mess really, really quickly. So 10 minutes on low for the first stage of the cook. And then you're going to, check it. Oh, good. I did write 10 minutes. I was big nervous that I was going to say 15. It's 10. Do 10. Okay, so this is what it looks like 10 minutes after it has cooked on low. And we see some kind of shiny bits going on and all of that, right? And it's bubbling in some areas. It's doing a really nice cook right now. Now, the cool thing about soap paste is you really can't screw it up. You can let this cook you can forget about it and let it cook for a really long time. But this little Vaseline stage that hot process soap makers talk about, I don't know. It's kind of there right now. And so I just give it another little stir, and then I put it back on to cook again. But again, with soap paste, it can kind of cook for a while. Now, the difference between soap paste and just regular hot process soap is you take your stick blender to it again to really force that mixy mix and to make sure everything's well incorporated. And, saponification is doing its thing at a very high heat. Now, this high heat, especially with the oils that we have selected for this soap paste, will allow this to be kind of like a soap dough in nature. But because we have the extra potassium hydroxide in it, so we're doing, again, a dual lye, it's pliable for longer, and it's easily dissolvable for a number of different projects. And there really are a number of different projects that you can do with soap paste. So it's not just, what can you do with the soap paste? 5 minutes. We're going to do 5 more minutes. We're going to check it again for sure. And that's what it looks like after 5 minutes. And wow, it's completely changing. Yes. So soap paste can be used for all kinds of things. So you can make shave soaps out of that, like beautiful, big, beautiful, amazing lather can come from a dual lye shave soap for sure, from soap paste. The whipped sugar soap scrubs and the Stevenson, base that costs $1 million these days. Screw that. Make your own soap paste. I'm going to do that. We're going to do a recipe for that too, to show you how that works and how to change this to it. But we're not doing that today. We are making your soap paste. Also, liquid soap can be made from this soap paste. The possibilities are endless. So I didn't actually have enough time in the last little slide to explain. So after it's cooked for that last 5 minutes, you give it a good stir. You go ahead and you take it off of the heat and just let it sit overnight. And this is what it becomes. And it's very pliable. It stores very well. It's easily dissolvable in things like water and glycerin and all of the jazz to make a number of different products. So we can do liquid bubble bath with this. We can do a beautiful shave soap. We can do an amazing whipped soap, a whipped sugar soap scrub. There are so many different things that you can do with a soap paste that's just a few, but you can do a shit ton with soap paste. And very, very easy to make, very, very easy to store. It will store for several years. Make a big batch, cover it all in saran wrap, and, keep it, in a container with saran wrap, kind of like you would with soap dough. And it will store for a very long time. And anytime you need to make, whatever soap paste works for a lot of things. It works for so many things. You need to make this. You need to have this in your life, especially since all of the bases are going up in price so much. Like, it's ridiculous how expensive the bases are getting these days. You can turn soap paste into all kinds of things. You could do liquid soap concentrate. That thing that Stevenson also sells? Come on. This particular thing that I'm weighing out right now, I'm, showing you this as actually a bit of a teaser, because I think the next recipe day that I'm doing for this is going to be, is it a shave soap? No, it's not, because I just made the decision that I'm not going to do a shave soap. I'm going to do the whipped sugar soap scrub with this soap paste and show you how to save a bajillion doll hairs from the Stevenson base, and this is better. It's awesome. Way cheaper, way cooler. But yeah, soap paste. It needs to be a good thing in your arsenal, even if you don't make hot processed soap. That is day 74, and it's awesome. See? Super easy. And then again, when it's done, after it's done its thing, you just wrap it up really tight like you would a soap dough. And then I wrap it up in plastic wrap and then put it in another container with a lid on it. And when I'm ready for it, I just measure it out for whatever it is that I'm making and make cool things with it. So try that. I do actually recommend trying this recipe, like today or in the next few days, because the next recipe that we're doing is something with this soap paste. And it's going to blow your mind because it's actually like a nice DIY hack of a very, very expensive product, and you're going to want to make it. So make the soap paste today, let me know how it works, and then come back next week for the recipe involving the soap paste. If you'd like to be reminded to come back, you could click the subscribe button and the YouTube will tell you to come back. So that'd be cool. If you are subscribed, hey, Sudzer, thank you. Go make this. Let me know what you think of it and get ready for next week, because this one builds, which is awesome. I appreciate you all, subscribed or not, for joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. I'm out of here for today, but I will see you guys all again tomorrow for another round of soapy fun. Bye.